If you've owned an RV for more than a year, you know that sound, that 3 a.m. chirp letting you know your propane detector is failing. Again. We were replacing these RV specific units every single year, and honestly, I stopped trusting them to keep us safe. So today, we're ditching the cheap 12-volt sensors. We're installing a high-quality residential carbon monoxide and propane detector. But there's a catch. It needs a standard wall plug, and we don't have one there where we need it. So today I'm going to show you how to safely tap into an existing circuit, run the wire, and install a new outlet in your RV so you can sleep soundly again. Let's get to work. Here's the setup. The old sensor was down here closer to the floor, which is correct because propane is heavier than air, but the nearest outlet is way up here. So we have the new one plugged in, but this wire stretches down and it just sits on the floor. So we need to make it look a little tidier. So I'm going to pull power from this upper outlet. I'm going to fish a line down through the wall here and install a brand new outlet right through here where the old detector was. And that way we can use the standard home detector that should last 5 to 7 years rather than the 12 months we've been getting out of these old ones. Before we cut a single wire, we have to talk safety. And many RVs manufacturers use different wire types. We checked our panel and this circuit is on a 15 amp breaker. Now take a look at this. In a lot of RVs, you'll find stranded wire, but in our Grand Design, they actually use solid copper wire. This is great news because it means we can use standard residential 14 gauge wire. 14.2 in fact to make our extension. If this had been a 20 amp breaker, we would have needed 12 gauge wire. Never guess with this stuff. Always match your wire to your breaker size. Alright, so that one is backwards. And this is why it's important to check that outlet with a multimeter or something to ensure, even if you plug in a light or something, just plug something in and make sure that the power goes off, because you see this is supposed to be the outlet to the power on that island. And this is the microwave, but they're switched. So to get the power off of that, you have to turn the microwave off. So make sure what you're dealing with before you go and touch any live wires. Okay, now we know we have the power off to that circuit. Let's get this new outlet installed. You know I'm not cutting that out. You're not on there anyhow. Oh yeah, you are. And there's Rose. And an interesting fact, you see the plugs right here and it's marked GFCI. Because I'm going to be tapping off of this outlet and running a new outlet down here, it will be protected by the GFI up here. So that's another good thing. So the original plan was to actually use one of these RV electrical outlets. We go to Indiana and Michigan every summer for the last, 3 years, Rosie? And I go to Bond Traders and I pick these things up for like $1 a piece. So I've got a good little supply of them. And they work really good. And they're different. You just have to push the wire straight in for connection points on it like this. They're not as good as a regular household, but they do work really good and they're very efficient. But on this situation right here, I can't use them because they're too deep from here to here. Can you see that? There is a back wall inside this. Let me see if I can show you. There's a backing panel right through here, and I don't have enough room to put the outlet in there. So rather than just putting the outlet in there, we'll do a surface mount, kind of like what was done up here originally. So that's what we're going to be doing a little bit differently. Something to remember on AC wiring. You'll see this is called 14-2, but it comes with 3 wires. They just count the 2. You got your positive or your hot wire and your common wire, and then you got a ground wire. But think of it as the 2 sheathed wires are your 2 wires. But anyway, something else to remember is that is completely different on AC wiring versus DC wiring. So your 120 volts versus your 12 volts. On your 110 or 120 volts, the black wire right here, that's your hot wire. Not to be confused with your 12 volt wiring system, because your black is your ground and you can have some serious problems. So always remember your black is hot on your standard household wiring. And the way I remember the connections on household wiring, your black goes to brass, so B to B, black and brass. Your white goes to silver, so the silver is closer to white, and then your ground goes to the green. And something else I like to do is I'm going to make this connection, can you see this, on the side of the outlet here, and think about the direction that the screw is going to turn. So when you go to tighten this up, your screw is going to turn clockwise. So you want your wire to go in the direction of the turn. So you want the end to follow the direction like that, so that when you're tightening it up, the screw actually pulls the wire in rather than trying to push it out of the connection. Brass. White to silver. For peace of mind, you can always get this little checker. You plug this thing into your outlet and it'll give you a code. You've got 3 different lights up here. You got a red and a yellow and a yellow. And on the front, can you see this? Let's see. Oops. It's got a code of which lights are on. It'll tell you what problems you have. If something's wired wrong, if you're got a reversed neutral and a ground, or anything that's going on, if you've got an open ground or anything like that, it'll pop a code for it. If it's all good, then you'll get just 2 yellow lights like you can see right here. It's all normal or correct. So let's go ahead and we'll check this outlets and make sure everything's wired properly. All right, we just come over here and plug it in. You can see the code, 2 yellow lights flashing, nothing on the red. So that side's good. This one, everything's good. Come down here. Everything's wired properly. This side, everything's wired properly. So that'll give you a peace of mind that you did your job correctly. All right, well, I'll try out the new outlet. I'll plug in the vacuum cleaner and we'll see if it gets power. Okay, well, that worked. Now all we need to do is plug in our propane detector. Job finished. All right, there we go. Well, all right, that looks like a factory install, but the best part of this unit, it has a digital readout for parts per million. I can actually see if there's a low-level issue before the alarm goes off. This project, it cost us a little over 30 bucks in parts, plus the cost of the detector, and it took less than an hour. So for peace of mind of knowing we won't wake up to a false alarm, or worse, not wake up during a real leak, it's an upgrade worth doing. I'll put a link in the description for the propane detector and the parts we used. If you're interested, you can find those there. If you have any questions about the wiring or the detector, drop us a comment. If you found this video helpful, give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. There's plenty more repair videos in our library, so give those a search and see if there's something else we can help you with. Well, guys, that's going to do it for this week's video. As always, thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. We'll see you next week.